Apple Maps is a web mapping service application developed by Apple Inc. for its iOS, OS X and watchOS operating systems. It allows turn-by-turn navigation by car or walking, including rerouting and night mode. It is the default mapping application for iPhone, iPad and Apple computers. It can be controlled by voice with Siri. Introduced in 2012, it replaced Google Maps, which had been the default mapping application on Apple iOS and OS X products. Its release was met with considerable criticism due to many mapping errors. History. Background. Prior to the release of Apple Maps, the default mapping application for iOS operating system had been Google Maps. Apple Maps was announced by Scott Forstall at WWDC 2012 keynote on June 11, 2012 that would use Apple's own mapping system with data provided by a number of providers instead of Google Maps, mainly through Dutch manufacturer of navigation systems TomTom, and a Chinese mapping company specifically for just the Chinese market version, AutoNavi. Apple Maps was released on September 19, 2012. Early criticism. The app was criticized for its lack of certain features contained in Google Maps, including Street View and transit directions. Apple Maps was named one of the top 10 technology fails of 2012 by CNN in December 2012. Upon release, many users and commentators were critical of the app for a variety of reasons, ranging but not limited to improper labeling of places to unmapped roads. Users complained about errors and omissions and about heavily distorted 3D representations of many features. Drivers heading to Fairbanks International Airport in Fairbanks, Alaska were instructed to drive onto an airport taxiway located directly across from the runway, which is used by aircraft on a regular basis. Victoria Police in Australia advised travellers against using the application to get directions to the remote town of Mildura. Police noted that several motorists required rescuing after following incorrect directions off the highway into the park, referring to it as a potentially life-threatening issue. The Victorian Country Fire Authority blamed Apple for dangerous deficiencies after the iOS 6 version of the map service caused inaccuracies in the authority's pre-existing bushfire alert app. An iPhone version of Google Maps returned to the iOS platform on December 13, 2012 as a downloadable application, rather than as the default map. As of November 2013, US iPhone users who used Apple's Maps outnumber Google's Maps app by 35 million to 6 million. Apple's response. Apple issued a statement saying the company is continuously improving Apple Maps and they appreciate all of the customer feedback. On September 28, 2012, Apple CEO Tim Cook posted a letter on the Apple website apologizing for Maps and suggesting that iOS 6 users use third-party map apps or websites, while Apple works to improve Maps. In October 2012, Scott Forstall, Senior Vice President of iOS Software and the directly responsible individual for mapping, was removed from his position. During an Apple earnings call, Apple CFO Peter Oppenheimer stated that Apple would work non-stop to fix the remaining issues. Apple CEO Tim Cook then announced that Apple is putting the weight of the company behind improvements to the mapping. On March 19, 2013, Apple released iOS 6.1.3 that included several iOS Maps fixes specific to Japan. On June 10, 2013, at the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, Craig Federighi announced that Maps would also be provided with OS X Mavericks in late 2013. The application was updated with the release of iOS 7 in September 2013 and again with the release of iOS 8 that included city tours, being visual tours on tourist attractions in the flyover city. Since its inception, Apple Maps has licensed U.S. business listing data from the following business data aggregators: Asksham, Factual, Newstar, Localese, and Yelp. By November 19, 2014, it also contained data from the following suppliers: DAT Group, Location 3 Media, Market Group, Placeable, Position Tech, Sim Partners, Single Platform, UBL, Yext, Yodler. New additions in April 2015 include reviews, photos and other listing info from Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Wikipedia and Dianping. In fall 2015, it was reported that Apple Maps is now more widely used than Google Maps on iPhones. However, many people use Apple Maps because it comes with the iPhone and its services such as Siri and Mail automatically take consumers to Apple Maps. Errors. Users can report bugs from inside the Apple Maps software, and points of interest can be claimed by business owners and then edited using an Apple account at mapsconnect.apple.com where available. Flyover. Locations available in flyover mode are transit directions. In fall 2015, Apple Maps added transit directions for several major cities in iOS 9 for Baltimore, Berlin, Boston, Chicago, London, Los Angeles, Mexico City, New York City, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Sydney, Toronto, Washington, D.C., and cities in China. Also in October, Apple Maps added transit information for select Amtrak routes in the United States. Cities with transit directions available are Apple Maps vehicles. Apple has been deploying cars in the United States to gather images and collect data for its Maps service. The Apple Maps vehicles have been taking pictures in the United States, United Kingdom, and Ireland. Apple has used fifth-generation Dodge Caravans that use LiDAR camera equipment to record street view imagery.